The Crazy Crafter live stream. I am your host, Colin Bressie. I am the Crazy Crafter, joined as always by Michael Patterson from Nat One Videos and the producer with the mostest, Danny West, ladies and gentlemen. I've also discovered, guys, that I have a wire brush. The wire brush works good for combing the beard, right? When it's not texturing foam, you can use it for the beard. Solid. Can you guys hear me? You guys hear me? Are you guys there?
I hear you.
Oh, there you
I
are.
hear you.
You're there. Yeah. You're there. I was like, are they there? I don't know what's going on.
You're just polite. Colin, you try it. We're trying not to interrupt.
Try not to. No, interrupt. If I'm talking about wire brushes with the beard, you have every right to interrupt and stop me from what the hell I'm talking about.
It seems like the pressing business of the day. I don't know about you.
Well, welcome everyone. Thanks for joining us out there today. Happy to have you here on the stream. Glad you could make it. If you are the first time here, we are the Crazy Crafter live stream. Every Sunday we feature new terrain tutorials with either Danny, Michael, and myself, or we feature other fellow crafters within the hobby. So we're here. We're going to talk a little bit about dungeon tiles and rethinking dungeon tiles. Kind of cool to go back to the beginning process, right? This is the first thing I ever crafted as into the hobby. So excited to chat a little bit about that. Excited to find out what you guys are working on today. Excited to hear your guys' thoughts on dungeon tiles, and it'll be fun. We'll catch up. Danny's got some cool stuff to show us and get us get the pot stirring, go as it were, as we discuss dungeon tiles today. But let's check in with everyone. Michael, how are you doing?
I am doing awesome today. Best day I've had this week. Went fossil hunting.
Nice.
Which is awesome. Got a few little specimens, which is great.
Specimens, what'd you grab? Show us.
So I do have some here. Check this out.
Dude.
So that's, well, you guys told me it's pyrite. I know it as fool's gold.
Right.
Yep.
Yep.
So I got that piece. And then a few little shell fossils.
That's
So,
very
but this is the stuff that I'm pretty excited about finding, because I'm thinking now about getting some little dwarven miniatures and building a little diorama with this. And I've got another bigger one here as well, but with little pickaxes.
Nice.
And just make a little dwarven mine. I also have like these little quartz crystals that I found today.
Hold it to your right just a little bit. There you go. Right there. Right there. That's perfect. Look at that.
So I need to clean them up, but that's quartz crystal as well. So yeah, it'd be cool to actually have some real minerals in dwarven mine. So I'm pretty excited about that.
That's awesome.
And the rest of my week was a little bit blah, but today was good.
Today was good. Most fantastic. I'm glad it's shaping up a little bit better. Danny, how are you doing this week?
It has been a week, but that's fine. Got Pfizer number 2 into the arm this week.
Yep.
Got to see my main man Colin.
Yep.
In the flesh, masks on, socially distant. Hey,
It's there. I got it. What a cool gift. I talked about that on the Friday stream. Oh, there it is. Oh yeah, you have to show everyone. What does the box say?
it says, "Guns are my homies."
Yes.
Right there on top. That's going to be chock full of dice shortly.
Nice.
It's going to go into my traveling DM kit, which is actually kind of the inspiration for what I've been working on this week and for the stream, is the traveling DM kit. So
Nice.
yeah, it's that'll be a perfect little vessel with which to carry my math rocks forth.
Math
be
rocks
great.
forth. Yeah, I really like the little I really like the tiny little dwarf figure that the paper cutout that you printed out for me and mine, so you can take them with me anywhere. It's literally like the perfect thing. Like, you know, we've talked so much, our D&D group, about going like on a backpacking trip and camping in the woods and playing D&D, and now I have the perfect little setup. Like, it's it.
Doesn't take
Ready.
much. It does
Nope.
not take much to play Dungeons and Dragons.
Nope.
So, I mean, I shouldn't say that because we are a terrain crafting channel. So to play Dungeons and Dragons, at bare minimum, you need a bunch of XP stuff.
Yep.
At bare minimum, dice
All
are secondary. The source books are secondary. The only requirement for Dungeons and Dragons is XP phone.
Yep.
Just so,
It's
so we're all clear.
It's important. You the crafting element's fun. Like, I love the theater of the mind, and I love the imaginary components and using the imagination as part of the gameplay. But I really like there is nothing like when Michael is meeting in person again and throws down a magnetic board for everyone to play on, or throws down Weathertop Amon Sul. Like, forget it. It's game over. It's game over. Like, that is, it truly is, like, once you introduce it to the party as well, that I've found, that everyone else gets excited about terrain as well. Everyone else loves that element.
I do have one guy in my D&D group who is not like that. He
Really?
Because basically you're forcing other people to imagine it your way by putting your terrain on it. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Sure.
So there are people who definitely prefer to have their own imagination on it, but tough luck. If I'm there, they're going to get my terrain. So
Sure.
That's it.
There's nothing
Well,
wrong.
that's one of the beauties of the game, right? Is that it can be anywhere from like pieces of paper and a couple of polyhedrons, right? You know, all the way up to like full-blown productions, like, and every single one of them is a great experience, which is why tabletop role-playing games are great.
Yep.
They're great.
Yep. So I'm curious out there for all of you, how crucial is, you know, I know you guys are you know, you're part of the Crazy Crafter family, and you're here and you love the hobby and terrain making, but is that one of the more crucial elements of the game for you? Is terrain one of the focal points for you when you're playing, or is it is it like a happy byproduct? Like if you did not have the terrain, would it still be the thing that like not make or break is the wrong word for it, I think, but I think how important is it now for your gameplay? I'm curious how it's evolved for you, because when I first started with mine, you know, these were the first build, right? All of Black Magic Craft dungeon tiles. Now, the only thing I did with these, I was like, now it's cool. You have two sides, right? the pink side, and then the side that's done up, and then the other side. I did a bunch where I was just like, well, I have this wasted space, so why don't I flip it? And it's nothing new under the sun, but having wood tiles, right? So it's like a little bit of the tavern setup. So these were the very first craft that I worked on, the very first introduction to the hobby. And when we introduced them into the gameplay, I'll have to post some pictures up on Discord of the terrain being used in game, but the tiles were like it started adding a new layer to the gameplay, and I think having that production value, if that's a thing for D&D, but it's part of the experience. It's part of that immersive experience that makes it all the difference. And that's what I'm really excited about. So this is next week. We've got Sebastian on from Atmoseeker, who is, his whole channel is designed and devoted to creating this atmosphere and this immersive experience for the players. And that's one of the things that I feel Tabletop Terrain does a really good job at.
So just a slight segue on that. So Tattoo Man 360 in the comments, he was saying, unfortunately, Kickstarter campaigns like the one for Dungeon Alchemist are making digital 3D dungeons super competitive with foam building. So I've seen that advert for Dungeon Alchemist recently. I actually started with my map making on like a program like that, an older version. Mm-hmm. I actually really enjoy making terrain for games like Roll20, and then I got sucked into terrain building. Do you guys like that stuff, like the online stuff?
Like the
map makers.
I haven't seen this one in particular, but it's map making stuff. Is that right? So
yeah, it basically Dungeon Alchemist. It's brand new in the last 3 weeks. It's started to pump out on YouTube. So
okay.
It's a 3D. You can do it in 2D. You can do it in 3D. It's a mapper software. You can map out rooms. You can change out all your elements and stuff, and it's really high quality. So
I will have to check them out. I do like because all of my games currently are online. I mean, like, that's where we're playing, right? I have been using tons and tons of digital maps. I particularly like the vibe of one map maker, 2 Minute Tabletop, which I'm actually going to be pulling up today because I love 2 Minute Tabletop's aesthetic. So I use digital stuff all the time, and I've played a little bit with is it called Fog of War? I think it's another Dungeon Fog. Dungeon Fog is what it's called. Is another tabletop map generator, and I have played with that a little bit. I think this is a problem with a lot of people prepping for the game. It's do I have enough time to make that specific thing, or is it easier to spend 10 minutes finding something that's very, very close and going like, oh, this has an extra room, or this doesn't have that room. Can I just move that thing around really quickly? And you just sort of play that mental exercise and go like, okay, yeah, I'll just make that work. Right. And then you sort of repurpose somebody else's labor of love because they spent a bunch of time making it beautiful, or I could spend a half an hour making it mediocre, making it exactly what, like, structurally exactly what I wanted, but maybe not as pretty. So a lot of the pre-generated maps, I just think just crush it. So,
I mean, I think you'll enjoy looking at that Dungeon Alchemist then, because I think it's so easy. I mean, it's one of those literally drag and drop a room, drag and drop a room. Like if you want to do a 4-room map and you want it done in 20 minutes, I think it's like that sort of thing you can do.
Dungeon Alchemist is added to my list of 2 finds and 2 lookups.
Yeah, it's
including Black Sails.
Including Black Sails. Yeah, it's been on my watch list for forever. I gotta actually check it out now. Because who doesn't love pirates? Who doesn't love pirates?
I'm loving it.
What is it? There's a book, The Adventures of Captain Kidd. There's a pretty good book. It's sitting like right over here. If I had direct access to it, I would like go get it. Maybe I'll run and grab it sometime to stream. But anyway, it's a good book. It's just a good book on actual pirates and like the time frame of, you know, that period in history when piracy was prevalent. Like some wild adventures, man. It's the Wild West of the ocean, basically. Like
Wild West with drowning.
Yeah, Wild West of drowning. Yeah. Yeah, that's interesting. I feel like, you know, going back to the terrain component of everything, I feel like, I don't know, I guess everyone's got, that's what's so interesting to me about this particular build and Dungeon Tiles, is there's so many different options for everyone out there. You can craft your own. You now have, you know, being online for, you know, we're coming up on the year mark now of playing, you know, D&D online and all the other tabletop adventures. It's forced some new. Definitely introduced new ways of approaching one of the more original basic elements of the gameplay, of creating that experience for the players. So I love all these different ideas and suggestions that everyone's putting forth out there. These are fantastic. And I'm again, we'll dive in. If you guys, as we're working on this today, and we dive into Danny talking a little bit about his idea here, I'd love for you guys to continue. If you get ideas, something inspires you, pop it in the chat below. And who knows, like, we have stuff here at our disposal. Like, who knows, maybe it inspires us and we start cranking out on something else. But Danny, you never know. But Danny, why don't you walk us through one of the thoughts that you were having as you were kind of brainstorming about Dungeon Tiles this week? Tell us a little bit about what inspired this train of thought with the Dungeon Tiles.
Okay, so we, you know, in our Facebook Messenger chat that we do all the time, you, Michael, and I had mentioned what do we think about Dungeon Tiles? How do we reshape that? And I thought back, because my first craft was Dungeon Tiles, and they never got painted. I just had a massive pile of pink foam that I got the grid on. I'd made all these shapes. I ended up putting them all into a box and handing them off to a few of my students that played, because as I was setting them up, like I liked the Dungeon Tiles. I had this massive table that we build scenery on, and I built them all using the tools in my shop during a lunch break, because, you know, lunch breaks and tools. And I set them up. I was like, oh, this dungeon. And then I sort of stored them up, and they were just massive, right? Like I just committed this huge space to them. And then the more I played with them, the more I was like, okay, but if I want this shape, I've got to make sort of a specific tile that deals with that. So if I want this really narrow alcove, I've got to make, you know, a narrow dungeon tile, right? Or I've got to figure out a way to block it off. And then I started thinking more and more that, like, I liked them, but in many ways they were kind of restrictive. Like, and people can disagree with me, right? I know the dungeon tiles are like, everyone's like, they're the gateway craft. You know what I mean? Like, you build your dungeon tiles, and then you get addicted and you do more stuff. And I started thinking during our conversation how that might be more flexible, and the when we talk about color mixing, we talk about two different systems, like an additive system and a subtractive system of color mixing. And dungeon tiles are functionally an additive system of making a dungeon, right? You have all these pieces, you stack them together, and you add them up to make the thing, right? You make the dungeon. And then I was thinking, would there be a way to do a subtractive system, right? Where I started with my big dungeon and then just started blocking stuff off. And that's kind of where I've landed. I'm in very much Mark 1 of this idea. And I don't think that it's particularly novel. I'm sure that there are lots of people that have sort of hit on this already, but Michael has been doing really amazing magnetic things on his channel, and that was sort of the springboard for what I've got. And so what I did is I bought, this is just 26 gauge, I think, galvanized sheet metal.
Okay.
I bought two pieces that are 12 inches by 24 inches. I cut this one in half. I've got some like Wiss shears for sheet metal stuff. And then I coated it in a couple of layers of my filler primer and then scored.
Yeah, you did.
The grid onto it. So I haven't done any additional painting besides the primer and the scoring to get the grid. And I think I haven't done this in the camera yet, but that's super cool that it gets that little shing.
Yeah, it's getting that shing. It looks good. I was gonna ask the other day when you were sending pictures to our group text when or our group messenger when you were looking. I was like, did he score? Like, I was like, he put a grid on there. I was like, that looks great. And I was wondering how you did it, but it was just was that rattle can? Was that rattle canned? I bought a new can and I meant to bring it in. So I specifically it looks very matte. It looks very matte.
It is very matte.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mentioned this during when we had DM Scotty on.
Yeah.
I use a lot of Rust-Oleum's filler primer. So it is a sandable filler and a primer simultaneously. So it has a little bit of body to it.
Yeah.
Like it's actually a little bit goopy, and then it clears out and it leaves you just a little bit of a film that you can sand down. And so I did like 3 coats of that. They dry super quick. And that built up just enough body on this that when I scraped it, the lines that I scored in as I cut through the filler actually have a little bit of depth.
Yeah.
They have just a little bit of depth on them. So even if I painted it over again, you wouldn't have like just that microscopic, like paint thin layer of score, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Just build up the body just a little bit. Let me transition over. So, actually, no, I'll come back to my face. I'm so indecisive. For a different project, yeah, I know, I am who I am. For a different project that I'm working on, I ended up buying several sheets of magnet paper, I guess.
Yep.
I
got some.
And
I got some too this week.
It has very little cling, which made it not perfect for what I was ultimately going for, but in the other project. But now I had 10 sheets of it and not much else to use it for. So I took off the sticky back, put a piece of black construction paper on it for this Mark 1 version, and then what I ended up with was just a whole series of little like 3x3 and 2x2 and 4x4 1x4 like strips. And so as I was saying, now I have this grid and I can just black out a given area and start building a dungeon and say
with this concept, you're basically reducing it to what do I need to play a game, and like, I mean, you could carry this around. You don't need the terrain, and you're talking about the theater of the mind then as well.
Yeah, so it's I think it's out of desperation from from pandemic and stuff like that, I have been slowly considering what can I do to get Dungeons and Dragons to as many people as possible. And all of my Christmas presents this year were Dungeons and Dragons themed, and they were all things that I could pack up and put into a bag and take with me to like, basically I want to make a single shoulder mounted bag that I can just put Dungeons and Dragons in.
That's cool.
Right, and take it with me. And this would pack flat. I can always overlap the magnets too if say I wanted my doorway here, because they don't have to take up a very specific spot. But this is a very simple, like, what is it, a 4-room dungeon? And I can just cut that off there. But I have my entry, I have some sort of like anti-chamber here, I have something here, I have another room there, and what have you. If, you know, this is blocked off or whatever, I could just make that not exist and they could find the secret door and I could open it up. You know, like, this is just sort of as simple as I could come up with, to get you to the point where you could play the tactical side of combat thin, right? Because the terrain definitely gives you the experience of like seeing what the world is, but I think so many of us, especially me, who's locked into the wargaming side of it, because there is like the wargaming component. That is, it 5 feet away from me? How wide is my spell? You know, like, are they in the range of my spirit guardians? You know, I've got a cleric in my current game, so every round has spirit guardians. It's like they get the power of Gond. Yeah, power of Gond compels you. And I can ideally eventually make more and more of these little strips. I can take the same sheet with the construction paper and I can cut curves out of it. I could make the same things and make the sort of cave structure. I've also, because it was
just had a little idea while you were talking there, Daniel.
Yeah, shoot it up. This is Mark 1 for sure. So I mean, if you wanted to have any visual element to it at all, you could easily print a sheet of paper to put on top of the magnet board, and then the magnets hold it on as well. So you could have some other visual thing going on.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
100%. 100%. And actually, I have stuff in today's conversation that I wanted to show about that, actually. So I had another sheet, because it was a 12 by whatever, and so I it's probably very hard to see right now, but when the filler primer was wet, I took a wire brush and streaked it, and so there is a subtle grain across this entire board that I'm hoping to wash and turn this into a pseudo wood floor, that I could also eventually make into inns or interiors or what have you. And so that's probably too subtle right now, but I'm going to put a wash on it. And then, yeah. And so that's the crux of it. By the end of this project, I'm hoping to sponge and spatter and scumble on some rock texture onto this whole panel, so it's not just like the matte thing. Get some wood grain texture on that one. I've got a full other sheet to make additional things, and there's nothing preventing me from putting the wood grain on this steel side either. Although, who knows, maybe one that's just steel might not be handy, because you could absolutely dry erase onto this, and you could dry erase marker onto this without a problem and erase and take that all off. I think another thing that I really like about this is like I was laying everything out on the grid because that's like comfortable and that's like normally what we do. And that's actually one of the things that we do with the dungeon tiles all the time is, right, like they're square. So you like stack them and you make like the square rooms and stuff. But there's nothing, because this is what it is, to say that you can't just overlap this and just like it opens out into an angle, and then I like overlap these magnets and make, you know, my funky room. It doesn't have to be any shape because I'm not tied into the shape of my blocks inherently. Do you know what I mean? Like, that was the big limiting factor of the dungeon tiles for me, is that they were fixed.
Yeah.
Right. And now this isn't a particularly sexy dungeon, but I've got like this sort of like narrow opening, and then it opens into the larger cavern, and then maybe I tighten that up just a little bit more. And then there's a little tiny crawl space that they can go through to enter into the last room. Right. And it's, you know, maybe they can just barely squeeze, or it's just the halfling rogue that is able to make his way through to the treasure hoard or whatever it is.
Hey, Danny.
Yeah.
Do you have a spare sheet of the magnetic stuff that you've cut everything out there with? You have a spare sheet of it?
Oh yeah.
Draw a like use anything to draw a circle. Cut out a I did one here. Like, can you see it?
Yeah.
It's just, I just drew a circle on it. Draw a circle and cut out, like, see if you can. What I'm trying to do here, I'm trying to do it for you too, is basically do like, can you create like almost just like a circular structure that would like resemble a tower, a well, or anything as best you can with that.
Sure. Let me grab the thing really quick.
So the reason I'm having like there's I'm gonna bust out some theater on you all right now. There's different ways and different concepts of looking at space, right? If you guys aren't familiar with Mary Overly was a choreographer, a dancer, and kind of a pioneer of the 6 viewpoints, right? And the 6 viewpoints were it's a way of looking at breaking down the different elements of performing arts, right? You want to start with like your simple structure of like looking at space, and this is something that I always am trying to incorporate now into my gameplay, which may seem weird, but looking at the different elements and breaking down how things are structured in the architecture of any room, whether that's most shapes and structures like Danny has put together here is that of a grid or of a box, right? Or a grid. We have some sort of grid breakdown. And then within that space, you can move, right? You can move vertically, you can move horizontally on the grid, just like we do in D&D. We have literal grids that we move on. But then within those grids, you can also move on diagonals, and you can also move in a circle. So you have these different ways of moving about the space, and I think what's really cool about what Danny has created here is the ability to create these variations very quickly with just the magnetic setup and this magnetic strip. Yeah. So by creating just even like once Danny creates and cuts this shape out, you guys will be able to see like it's a simple pattern and a simple solution to create a dynamic picture for your players very quickly. Yeah.
So you want a circle?
Yeah, just a circle. Let's try a circle, and then like if you can, just like cutting out like you could cut out the circle and then either do another ring just larger, basically one where it's hollow in the middle. Danny, that's what
you want. A donut.
I want a donut. Yeah, now I'm hungry.
I actually want a donut right now. I'm
Sorry, my apologies to the room for mentioning that.
just while you were talking, Colin, another little thing came into my head,
Yeah.
and it's slight segue, but I'll mention it so I don't forget it. Is one of the frustrations that I've had with building terrain and building a dungeon, for instance, is whenever your players say they want to do a perception check for any hidden rooms, there's often, if you've built out your dungeon in front of people, you don't have the option of hiding really a hidden room, and people are able to metagame that they kind of know that there's a hidden room there. I mean, I'm sure there's other people who've got other ways of doing it, but this little system that Daniel has, you basically, they go, right, roll a nat 20, and you discover that there is a hidden room, and then all of a sudden you just move a few little pieces on with your magnets, and there's your hidden room.
Right. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's pretty cool. Yeah, kind of like, is it the Fog of War like feature where you basically can like you get to reveal stuff as you adventure and go along. I really enjoyed that component about this whole setup too, Michael. I agree with you. That's
do that with.
Go ahead, brother.
I was just going to say, if you're trying to do that with actual physical terrain,
it's very challenging.
There's always a giveaway. There's always some. I mean,
right.
I'm sure there's loads of people who've got great ways of doing it. And actually, if anyone in the chat has a good way of adding hidden rooms to their tabletop, let us know. That'd be cool.
Yeah, I think that's 100% true. Like even it's not the system isn't like I said, currently it's not like visually it's like sexy. You know what I mean? Like it is functional, you know?
But I think what is appealing and what does, I don't know if sexy is the right word for it, Danny, but like when you add these different shapes that you've added in the middle of it, you know what I mean? Like when you've added these different, like this is what we're gonna do. We're gonna do it right now. This was I was gonna create it. I'm gonna do one too. I'm creating a little one where we'll create the different shapes, right? We'll create the circle, we'll create the diagonal, we'll create the grid, and we'll introduce it. So we'll layer it, right? We'll layer it with just horizontal and vertical aesthetics, and then we'll add in the diagonal aesthetic that you talked about, and then we'll add in the circular dynamic and component. So now you have all these different shapes and structure, because again, if you are in a natural environment and you're in the forest there's what is it? It's Fibonacci, right? There are no hard angles and those sharp angles in nature. It all revolves and lives on that circular component. So now that you have that up there, let us go back to you here, Danny. We'll go back. So now you've got your circle. So take the circle off. Let's just layer a gridded pattern out for a room.
Do a little,
yeah, whatever you want it to be.
Do that, and then
great. So now can you create like a diagonal? Now I'm trying to find a way to layer in a diagonal line. Lay in a diagonal hallway in there somewhere. Where do you want to
sure. I mean, like in the same room, we can just take the same room.
Take the same room, and now you can change the shape. I love that. That's great.
Yeah, take the same room, and then I mean that could be the
entrance. So now I'm already presupposing different thoughts about my interpretation of what this room is, what's encountering in it. Like now it looks like kind of like a room. It reminds me of ruins. That's the first thing I thought of when I looked at it. So now you have the diagonal element. Now let's add the circle component to it. Do you want to add it? Can you make the room a little bigger? Make the room a little bigger and add that like in the middle of it.
There's a lot of chat going on here. It's great. Shall I just fill you in, guys, a little bit?
Let's do it. And then we'll chat about Danny's room here. Go for it.
I'm too busy playing Legos, so I can't.
Well, we have a few people coming in with suggestions on the hidden room there. Saunders going to draw something up and put it into the Discord.
Great.
An idea that he had with clip-ons. I asked him, what do you mean by clip-ons?
Oh yeah, clip-ons are a Wylock idea, and you could also just take this and drop one of these down to sort of black it out or whatever, and you could curve out the corner of the room, you know, like no big deal. Cool. And I was positing that you could very easily take like a 3-inch square of this.
Yeah.
And that's about, it's nice to have this grid here because it gives me pretty close to my 3 inches when I cut.
So Dungeon Matron saying, I wonder if attaching lightweight foam walls would affect the magnetic adhesion.
I thought about playing with that too. That's exactly what I was thinking about earlier too, Dungeon Matron.
If you keep the magnet on the bottom, it's no big deal. Like, one of my first thoughts was to take, you know, like 1 inch, 1 inch tall XPS or something, and then just mounting these magnet strips onto that, and then you could just take that as your means of getting it to mount. And I think it would work quite well on the way you've done it there, Daniel, because you're not creating too much space between the metal and the magnet. Yeah.
The surface area is good. You know, if you were to put like a 1 or 2 millimeter strip of XPS foam, the way Tina and myself did, you are reducing the magnetism, so those magnets might not be strong enough. But if you were going to use a grid like it probably would be strong enough, I would say.
Yeah, I think so. This is great, guys. Everyone out there in the chat, I'm hoping this is exactly what we were hoping the conversation about today would spawn up. Was, again, something that, you know, all of us here on the Crazy Crafter have really, really enjoyed, and it's been an integral part of our gameplay. You know, it's always cool to go back to the basics and to revisit the basics and think of new ways. And what I really like about, you know, this whole idea in Dungeon Tile, Danny went on a backpacking trip recently and did D&D in the woods. And how do I make it playable to where I can literally just take whatever piece and throw it down and make it playable and something that, you know, adds that visual component to the gameplay. And even, you know, there's something just about this setup where I just like this kind of almost like almost black and white setup where you have clearly defined negative space and positive space, right? That you can then invert, mess around with, just like Danny's doing right now. That's exactly what Danny's about to show you guys down here. So this is fantastic. Go ahead, brother.
I was just going to say, Carl was saying there in regards to the walls, some of the things that Daniel is doing, you couldn't add walls in the same way because of the stacking issue, but because of these thin slivers of magnets,
right? You
can stack them and make whatever shape you want.
Yep.
And then Saunders just saying he has put something in the tips and tricks on the Discord. If you want to have a little look there, Colin.
I'll get to work on heading over there and setting that up right now. That is my mission.
So I was just playing a little bit more, and this was like I said, I had like a quarter of an idea before I came in, and several sort of like spitball things that I considered. And one of them was if you when I made my original dungeon tiles, the reason why it took up so much room is because I wanted options. You know what I mean? I wanted all of those options. And so I made a bunch of squares, but then I made a bunch of inside and outside corners, and I made a bunch of stuff. And I just took three or two rather 3x3 squares, and I cut
a quarter circle out of it, and then I had a strip, and then I cut the end off of the back of the curved strip, and I get these like 3 pieces that can all marry together to make the beginnings of all manner of different sort of organic cave shapes.
Yep.
And I've got a decent sized cave shape right here. Maybe that's my entrance. I don't know. I'm playing with it. I've got this decent like sort of cave shape thing right here, and it was just roughly made out of 2 3x3 squares of this magnet strip, which is nothing. And like this U-shaped piece, or like I guess C-shaped piece, whatever it is, if I had made that out of like a foam dungeon tile, it'd be very much, it would have to be a full playable space. So it would either be this, you know, it would either end up being this inside corner, or it would have to be the outside corner. I would have to like fill in that spot to make it that playable space. But since this only becomes the wall, I could curve this in and it becomes that part of the wall, or I take it and I play it. Ooh, they're magnetic. I take it the other direction, and it functions as both an inside and an outside corner because it's not defined to a specific playable type, right? Yep. It's not representing the floor, it's representing walls. So it can go in any direction and still be functional. So this one piece actually has at least 2 functions that a dungeon tile has to be an inside or an outside corner, which I think is kind of limiting.
So another little quick segue for you, Daniel.
Yeah.
What's relevant to you is that the Mini Mason is saying, does anyone else use 1 1/4 inch grid? And I know that you like a 1 1/4 inch grid.
I think there are definitely good things to a 1 1/4 inch grid. Yeah, for sure.
But this kind of maybe removes that problem. Do you know?
Yeah. So Wylock uses the 1 1/4 inch grid, and he does that for several reasons. One is that he has his little clip-on system, yep, and it just makes more room for adding accessories and stuff. And I totally dig that. And I think there are a lot of super good reasons, because terrain has bulk. Like, I think we can all universally accept that like every bit of terrain that we have has bulk. And that becomes problematic sometimes. And so yeah, with the 1 1/4 system, you can put walls in between grids without too much worry. And that actually leads me to something else that I had posited on and hadn't had a chance to experiment with, is that there is nothing. I think one of the other reasons why I fell out of my original dungeon tile set is that I got Lost Mines of Phandelver. I got the 5e starter set, and I got Lost Mines of Phandelver, and I couldn't sort of accurately represent even like the first cave where like the red brands are at, because the map makers for D&D, and rightfully so, like thin walls. They like 2 rooms that share a wall, and that's very hard to represent with the dungeon tiles.
Well, do you know what? Sorry, I'll let you finish, but there's an interesting point on that one. Go ahead.
Okay. Well, what I had been considering is that there's nothing stopping me from taking a very thin strip of the magnet. I could have several little tiny thin strips of the magnet that split right down the line and still give me a division. Like, and Wylock system uses the 1 1/4, so that if I end up eating a quarter of an inch out of either side of my square to put like this intermediary wall.
Yep.
I still have the 1 inch for my mini base on there, and I'm only taking a 16th out of my 1 inch grid right now, I think, approximately. And I can also, it doesn't work great, but I can also put some gentle curves into that wall.
Oh,
almost
that's
like
cool.
almost like pinstriping tape.
I love that. That's
and
really cool.
I'm super glad that worked, because I didn't know it was going to work, but I totally said it confidently and started bending it. And I was like, oh, another thing, blah, blah, blah. I have a feeling this is going to work. Don't make me look dumb. But
that's okay. Yeah. That's what it's about. Like, it's okay. It's okay if it, that's the other thing too, guys. Like, and I have to remind myself of it all the time. It's okay if it doesn't work, right? Like, it's okay if it doesn't work out. Like, because then you've tried it. Yeah, and I think you can't know unless you try it. What was that thing you were telling me the other day, Danny? About did you say you've mentioned it maybe on the stream before about Thomas Edison and the light bulb? Like,
oh yeah, Thomas Edison learned 1,000 ways to not make a light bulb.
Make a light bulb, right?
Yeah,
right.
Dungeon Matron kind of read my mind with a comment there. Which was what I was going to say about those thinner walls, is that Tabletop Witchcraft did a video last week.
Which was brilliant.
Did you see? You saw it then?
I did. Like, it came out just a little bit before or a couple days before our last live stream, and the algorithm hadn't helped me out yet.
Right.
I'm subscribed, but I'm subscribed to too many things, so it didn't throw it up for me.
It doesn't matter. Being subscribed doesn't mean YouTube's going to tell you. That's for sure.
Yep.
There's a lot of votes from people in here saying they prefer gridless anyway.
Isn't that interesting? So that's kind of how I go about. Like, I really enjoyed the gridless component, but another way for this tile system, so you could do it two ways. Like, hold on. I got this is my sole contribution to this. Hold on, I gotta get it.
I don't know if I when I interrupted there, Daniel. I don't know if I took you off course there a bit.
Oh, it's okay. My brain's rattling around all the time anyway, so like, I distract myself.
You could take your sheet metal, right? You could take your sheet metal there, Danny, whether you want gridless or not. So say one night you're like, man, we want to throw a grid down on top of this. You could literally just take the clear plastic or clear thin sheet of plastic, and then do your grid on top of it, right? Mark it out with the Sharpie, and then cut it out to the shape of the room, cut it out to the shape of the cave tile, and you could literally just pop it right down on top of it as an exterior component onto that. And then you have a grid, or you don't have a grid. I prefer, because the minis themselves have the base already, it's easy for me to mark out the distance, right? I like it. I like the aesthetic. Although, there's something to be said, right? What I really enjoy is kind of a combination of the two. So, for example, the Dwarven Cemetery that Michael made and sent to me, it's the best of both worlds, because the top side is all the natural architecture, and you have a little bit of the grid with the stonework that he did around the tombs there in the cemetery, but then when you get down into the dungeon underneath and actually the catacombs, then it becomes a grid that makes sense. But see, that's the thing that I think that's where I like it, is if the grid makes sense given the environment naturally.
It's so weird, man. Like, the viewers are tonight basically reading our minds, because the Mini Mason just wrote, we use grid for the inside encounters, and then for outside they use gridless. That's hilarious.
Yeah.
Just as you were saying it.
Well, that's the other thing I like discussing is, and then I think given it just depends on the encounter and the scenario, right? Like, if I haven't watched it yet, but the thing that I'm thinking about is my buddy Richard Quiner over at the RPG Daily just posted a video on ship-to-ship combat. And
I want to watch that.
I do too. It's on I'm going to watch it today. I'm bummed I didn't watch it, because now it has me thinking about where encounters and where that might be important, right? That's an outside environment, an area where you're on the ocean, right? Or if you're in our case, in our campaign, you're on a desert crawler in the desert, right? Still kind of a ship, as it were, but having grid, or having the grids there to mark out the distance and figuring out lines of attack. And you may want it for your players, or you may want it as the DM to keep track of it. I think that's what's so cool about you know, the whole terrain setup, is it really has that flexibility to get as technical as you would like it, or as loose as you want it. And again, they create a different sense of feeling. They create a different sense of, it's just a different experience for the players. And I feel like the grid versus gridless does impact that. What do you say? Holy crap, Colin, that would be great for magnetic water. What is that? What are you trying? Had a brilliant idea. I didn't know what the brilliant idea was, Dungeon Matron. You're creating magnetic water. What would be good for the magnetic water?
Just say you're welcome, Colin. Just say you're welcome.
Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome.
Yeah. Happy to help.
I want to know what my idea was so I can make it. What did I say? Anyway, this is I'm telling you, this is kind of a cool way. Like I always love revisiting things that I learned and worked on, like at the beginning stage of any skill or anything that I come across, because it's always cool to come back. You're going to discover new stuff, and I think that's easy to do in our hobby as well, as get comfortable with what we know and what we work on. Like working within a magnetic system, like Tina developed and that Michael has built on and worked on his channel, like John Lombardi expanded upon. All of that stuff is amazing to me, and none of that comes to play if no one's thinking outside the box a little bit, or revisiting how we construct different pieces of terrain.
This here is definitely headed in the direction of the next step, I think, for sure, man. Like,
I think so.
Because I mean, like we love building terrain because it's the hobby as well.
Right.
Yeah.
But when it comes to the practicalities of a game, if you're going to travel to someone's house to play a game, or even for your own house storage and all of these things, you know, we love building terrain because we love building terrain. Not necessarily always going to lay out the table with stuff unless you have loads of space. So
right, there's that too. And then, you know, I really like this too, Danny, because what this does is it allows folks that maybe don't have a lot of space, right? You can create and build this setup with these tiles and have a battle mat that is extremely customizable based on you know, this very simple but intricate, right? It can get as intricate as you want it to be. It's really cool.
I think there are definitely good things. You know, there are definitely things about it. I mean, there's certain. I wouldn't have pitched it as an idea if I wasn't kind of interested in it. You know what I mean?
Right.
I definitely had the moment of like, is this feels maybe too uncrafty? I don't know, but
it's very D&D though.
It is very D&D, and it sort of plays to the sort of stuff that I need a lot in my life. And again, my goal is to, I guess part of my crafting is to make D&D as small as possible, which is oftentimes like the working in the opposite direction that a lot of the crafting is, right? Like the big centerpiece or the big cool wow factor thing. I just need to get stuff over to people. You know, like I want some level of immersion, but I also want at the end of the day to be able to play, to be able to get to play. And I think that for me in my life does require a little bit less spectacle and a little bit more compactness.
It's so interesting because I'm going the opposite direction, Danny.
And that's great.
I want the epicness, right? I want that element. Like, you guys have, if you haven't done so, you'll have to head over to Sebastian's channel, Sebastian from Atmos Seeker. If you guys want to see like an epic game room setup, it's not it. His games are a theatrical. They're a production. And I think that's what I want, right? And maybe that's maybe that has ties with the pandemic and being locked down and, you know, missing that theatrical that major theatrical component in my daily life. But I feel like that's just a natural progression for me in the hobby as well. In the game, like I like the fact that you know, you can throw down the building on the tabletop or have these different layers of tiles to throw down. For me, it's I can't get epic enough. And if you're Zane Morgan, then you definitely can't get epic enough, because wait till you got, like, I hope there's updated pictures. I think there are up there on the Discord of the current build. Like, it's just nuts. There's, you know, or like Derek's giant city that he built and the sewer system that goes underneath. Like, all these things, all these things blow my mind. And it's I don't know, those components and the scope and size of it, no matter if it is a simplistic approach or the not overwhelming, but the grandiose, like, terrain drop on the table, they all will have an impact on your players and your game, no matter what.
You mentioned Zane there, and just to go back to the dungeon alchemist or whatever, the stuff that we were talking about at the beginning of the stream.
Yep.
I wonder if Zane could, I mean, obviously you can print that off and paint it up and make it real live terrain, but he's got STL files there that could become digital terrain. I wonder if
he does.
You could, like, if there's platforms that you can play, you could put that into and play in that.
Oh, you're talking about, like, making, like, using the STL files and basically creating your kind of
world.
Your world. I know you can, like, there's definitely oh man, there's all sorts of possibilities with that. I'm trying to think of the is it the isometric table? Do I have any?
Yeah, isometric is when you do it at like 60 degrees.
Yeah, you know, there's the isometric digital terrain that I know Richard was including in our campaign recently. We battled a giant purple worm, or not a purple worm. It was a purple worm, but it was big old desert worm. This thing, but how we set it up and the isometric terrain at the 60-degree angle allowed us to play that encounter much more strategically. That was an important setup. Richard set it up that way because the creature we were battling had you know, it could shoot projectiles, and that's an important thing for line of sight, where you hide. Had we not had that isometric terrain in that setup for the virtual session, that gave me, as a player, I was able to be engrossed in the world a little bit more, because it's got depth and dimension to it rather than just a grid down on you know, looking from a vertical place down with little tokens. You know, so that makes all the difference, or it made all the difference, I feel, for me in that encounter. Had I not had that might have been I don't know, you know, it may have killed me in game, but I'm able to connect those two pieces a little bit easier with one another.
So I'm a a perpetual multitasker,
All right.
to my detriment as I listen to
No.
stuff. But you know, I did recognize sort of like the inherent plainness of the initial setup of like my Mark 1 setup, and that did leave me questioning, like, how could I bring the like some specificity to the build.
Right.
And would you mind me like showing something off that I played with just now?
Please.
So there is one of my favorite people on the internet is 2 Minute Tabletop, and he makes a bunch of maps, but he also makes a bunch of map assets. He makes asset packs so that if you want to make your own digital maps, you can download his assets. And he's got like a full, well, like I downloaded a full sheet and I've been selectively cutting things out, but he's got
cool.
the bed with the messed up sheets, and he's got the smaller bed, and he's got a couple different fireplaces and the settees and the chairs and the tables and a mini bookcase. And he's got all of this stuff that you can download. And let me, oh, I've ruined everything. There we go. If I go to Chrome and transition, 2minutetabletop.com. He's got a whole collection of assets that are pay what you want. I always try to pay at least $1 to cover his stuff. But if you were working in this system and you wanted to do a forest, you could pick up his forest and fungi map assets pack, and he's just got beautiful hand-drawn illustration style stuff. And then he's also got a forest pack with trees and vegetation.
So cool.
And it's all very easy to print. You could drop it on the magnet sheets, and you could I haven't started making them yet, but I printed out a pile of his trees and rocks that I could very easily drop down onto the table and have the trees and rocks. And this all comes with, I mean, I paid $1 to get these. Like, I can't draw this well.
Right.
And this all comes with his camp asset pack. And it's trees and rocks, so you can set them up in the forest. And then you've got the cart, sleeping bags, backpacks, the campfire. You've got a smattering of different tents and a canoe. And like for $1 and some magnets, you can generate that, pack it down to almost nothing, and just have your night raid on the camp ready to go anytime. And like I said, he's just got, I mean, a lot of these are pre-generated maps. You can pay what you want, but he has lightning spell effects. He's done a little bit of the cyberpunk car stuff. He's got so many things, and I personally just love his aesthetic. It's what I like. It just got a pretty hand-drawn, watercolory aesthetic to it that I'm all about. And yeah, given like I think that's a great way of, you know, if I need a bed, you know, that there's my bed.
There's your bed.
And it looks great. It's right in scale. It just prints right off.
So you're already preparing your next camping trip then?
Oh yeah.
So
always prepping the next camping trip.
Always prepping the next camping trip.
On the camping trip D&D, Daniel, how was it being out in the wilderness playing D&D? That sounds like it would be pretty good fun, actually.
You know, the camping site that we had was not particularly conducive to being comfortable while we did it. The camping spot was pretty garbage, but I actually the project that I bought the magnetic strip for is this. It's actually camping in an or D&D in an Altoids tin. And that's, I made this for each of my players, and I put the miniature dice set in there. Awesome. This is my son's kit. It was laying on the ground, so his character sheet. I got to make a smaller version of this specifically, but he, crammed his character sheet in there, and I love paper minis, and so
I was wondering what the Altoids were for.
Yeah, well, I always keep them in the car because
I was about to make, like, in the office, I was about to make a noise and see if you would eat one.
Oh, ding!
Ding,
Yep.
And then ding, Altoid.
The Pavlovian response to the thing, yeah. We didn't have a large enough place to set it up, but I love paper minis, which actually, like, I could go back to.
I actually saw a Kickstarter this week for flat minis.
Oh, there are several flat mini makers, yeah. And if we're going like talking about people that I love the aesthetic of, printableheroes.com is my go-to. You can back the Patreon, and you get access to a bunch of stuff. But I believe it's a she, has tons and tons of free minis available as well, and you can search by whatever you want, but you've got hobgoblins and were-ravens and just like tons and tons of different things.
It's really cool. I like that.
Tons of things.
Printable
and
minis.
Then she also recently put up the RPG resources. So if you were looking specifically for things that are in Lost Mines of Phandelver,
it's there.
These are 2 pages of things that you might run into in Lost Mines of Phandelver, or Curse of Strahd, or whatever game you're playing, and so again, and this is all sort of in my quest to make D&D smaller, I guess, like pack down easier for me. So I think that Printable Heroes and 2 Minute Tabletop are just, I love them. I love them to death. I love their formatting. I love their aesthetic. And I give them money because I like them.
They're cool. It's before you'd mentioned it, Danny, I hadn't heard of 2 Minute Tabletop, so I'm excited. I'm gonna have to go dive into that content. And
I get his emails all the time.
I'm excited to check out all of those new resource for me. I'm always excited to check it out. I think so. I want to put it back out there to you guys again. If you're just joining the stream, we're kind of going back to the basics, like rethinking what it is to, how do we utilize the simple dungeon tiles within our gameplay? Like what are some components that we love about the old ones that we all know and love, from these little ones to, what are some new possible ways? And I think what's really cool today with this idea of creating, adding and subtracting from the negative space with the magnetic.
We have a look at Daniel's magnet board.
Let's see your magnet board, brother. Let's bring it up again here.
Oh, okay, sure. We got this one, and I can start making a thing.
Make a thing.
Yeah.
So let's start us off again here, Daniel. To recap, it's the what was the gauge? Just the thin sheet of sheet.
I think it's like a 26 gauge. It's not thin. I mean, like the 12 by 24 sheet at, I went to Lowe's this time.
Yeah.
That was nearest me. It was like $7 or like $6.50.
It's not bad at all.
Right? $6.50 for the thing, and then like I think a 10-pack of the magnet sheets was like, I don't know, $10 or something on Amazon. And then I hit it with the filler primer to give it a couple coats so I could put my grid on, because I do like playing with the grid. I think that's just I don't know, war gamery of me, maybe.
Right.
I know that Warhammer, we all have our tape measures out and stuff and are doing that nonsense. But yeah, I can just take this and it transitions into some sort of sweeping dungeony room over on this side, I guess. I don't know. I'm just playing.
I like it. I like that. I like that setup. And again, when you add in the different shapes from the magnetic cutouts, and when you're adding and subtracting stuff on there, it's super cool. Now, here's one way to look at this. So there's one way to look at this table, and then there's another way to look at this this table right now as well, right? So right now we could look at it as if the magnets that you're laying down were the walls, right?
Yeah.
You could totally have that set out, and then the spaces in between, right? All the white stuff down on the white areas is the playable space, but you could also go the other way, right? You could also
100%.
You could go the other way and make the thinner areas the playable areas, right? That's what's kind of cool. Then, because then if you go down and you turn that base down and you have a couple different sheets and you make that blue, you make it red or green or some sort of crazy color. Then it can emulate different, like an acid pit. It could emulate magma, or lava. The versatility of it is pretty awesome, and it's super simple. I love it.
It's a bit late because at Christmas time, when we came up to my wife's parents' house, we were debating about what we could bring to play D&D, and we basically didn't have any space left. And so we haven't actually had a physical game of D&D. Lucy's dad plays D&D, her brother plays D&D. We could have had a cool game, and this sort of thing would have been perfect. just to play.
Well, I mean, and again, it's a crafting channel, so I should never downplay the crafting component of it. But on the trail, we had our little Altoids tin, and I had the world's smallest little notebook, and I just sort of drew a little thing, and I was like, that person's here, and I would draw X's, and it turned into very much like a football style, cross out the X, I draw a line and an arrow, and so you move there, and they're about 30 feet away, or they're about this far away, and they just sort of moved in, and we played it all just with the world's tiniest notebook. We used the little mini dice as markers for who was who in one encounter. We just went for it. That Drider almost got him. I tried.
Quick question from Sandra there.
Yeah.
You saw as well, Colin?
Yeah, you go for it. You got it.
Question: Would the resources at Crooked Staff Terrain be an asset for the magnet sheets? I'm going to have to look it up.
Yeah,
I'm
I don't
going
know.
to get him.
A Crooked Staff.
Can you post the links under? Well, he probably heard me. There's no point in me typing this.
Yes, 100%. Yeah, he's got great floors. He's got amazing floors, and he's got a ton of good stuff. Yes, sorry, I need to jog my memory, but Crooked Staff has tons of beautiful things that would work great.
Well, I mean, Amy Root has just trumped us all.
Yeah,
and she's got, we always just drew on a blank piece of paper.
Nothing wrong with that. Or I like the next comment. Or if outside, just use rocks and sticks. Hard to beat the real thing. Truly hard to beat the real thing. There's an idea for you. And actually scout your D&D area and use the natural terrain as the playing space for your players. Now
we're just LARPing.
No, but you're still playing D&D with the.
I got you.
I know what you're saying. That'd be cool.
The idea of playing D&D by firelight out in the wilderness is so appealing to me. Dude, I love that idea.
Dude, I just want to be.
Especially right now.
Let's go. Let's go.
Dude, as soon as this pandemic's over, if I've got the coin in the bank, I'm coming.
Come. Let's come.
We
talking about? I want to go to the Shire. I want to go to the Gloucestershire. That's where I want to go.
You're welcome anytime.
want to go check out that hobbit hole that's gonna be built.
Maybe you should come and help me build it.
Oh, jeez.
Because that's going to happen in the summer.
It's going to be. I don't know if you want me to build it. I don't know if you want me to actually build it. I can paint. I can paint really well. Say again.
I said, luckily we'll have an engineer on hand. My father-in-law knows how to make stuff. He really knows how to make stuff. So
there you go. There you go.
I doubt that he would let me do it on my own.
Oh man. All right. Let's see. What else we got? What else we got out there? Well, we should probably pop over. Let's pop over to the Discord, huh? Let's take a look at the Discord and see what we got over there. We'll start with Saunders' post from, I believe it's Wylock here.
Well, I mean, he drew that up himself.
Oh, he drew that up. That's Saunders,
he drew that up.
But it's based on that concept. Cool.
Clip on. For that was going back to the secret rooms or whatever. You can just clip on the door or whatever.
Nice. Yeah, that's cool. This is cool here, Sonder. This is a neat little draw up setup, and it's in the tips and tricks Wylock style tiles. Perfect. Nice little little reference point for everyone, so you can if you've never built it before. Thanks for posting that, Sonder. Thanks for sharing it. That's great. Okay, what else? Let's go to that's the I need Discord up. Let's head on over to what else is in the tips and tricks. Oh my goodness, what is this? Fed my granddad's old siphon fed badger, which must have been from the 70s. Finish work tomorrow. What is this? Is this a
siphon feed badger? That's airbrush, man.
Airbrush. Oh, nice. Look at that. Got the badger going on. This is from the tips and tricks earlier in the week. Yeah, this is me failing my failed prints earlier in the week. Asking for help. Help me! How do I print it? I gotta re-zero my printer. All right, let's head on over to the share your work category. We'll scroll on up. Oh man, yeah, there's lots to share from this week.
My favorite part of the day.
Yeah, my favorite part of the day too. There's mine from earlier. Still working on the Kill Bill diorama. I think I showed this off on Friday, but I didn't post it. Yeah, I don't know if you guys have seen it. If you haven't seen the Kill Bill diorama, just check it out. It's been a fun process. The grayscale with the pop and color, so everything else in grayscale, but leaving the bride in color is going to be pretty cool. I think that's going to work out. And then here we have Nate's cave. Nate's been really excited about this cave that he's been working on. This is super cool, Nate. Yeah, this is looking fantastic. I love all the detail and stonework. We'll zoom it in here so you can see it a little bit better, but all this natural stonework that you're getting for this cave entrance is dope.
He's using some real moss in that as well.
Yeah, it sure does. It looks great.
Great.
Yeah, another shot here of it. The colors in it look fantastic. And all that green, man, when you add the flocking, I really it makes everything pop. Super cool. Well done, Nate. Well done, man. This is looking great. Richard Quiner, speaking of the devil himself, inspired by Michael's Weathertop Amonsul.
I like it. I like his a lot.
I do too. I like it. I really love his bricks and the ruins that he's got around here. Like that, these bricks and ruins look fantastic. They look super cool. I like.
This is a wedding. This is a centerpiece for a wedding, right?
So he's got 25 more. He's made the prancing pony, and then he's made Weathertop Amonsul. So I'm like, do you need help, man? Do you want some help making 25? That's so many dioramas. Like he's like, I think I need to work a little smaller, and I'm like, good luck. But the offer stands, Richard. If you need some help with some diorama making for your wedding, we got you. But this is looking great.
Wedding planners for you.
Yeah, wedding planners. That's right. But this is great. I like the minis that he printed up here for this. These look great. It just looks fantastic. I love this setup. This is looking amazing.
Once we've gone through this, guys, I've got a question for you two, by the way, that's just popped into my head.
Okay.
Remind me that I want to ask
Okay.
you guys.
We will remind thee. All right. That's looking great, Richard. Weathertop Amonsul is amazing. There's Aragorn fighting off all the race. Super cool. What else are we working on down here? Zane Morgan has made a new batch of washes ready to be layered upon layer, which he'll no doubtedly go through all those washes by the end of his next epic build that he's working on. I love that. So you have to share it. Like, if you guys are in the Discord, share your wash recipes. I know other folks are talking about playing around with different recipes. Cross in here is talking about trying a new recipe. Post that stuff. Let us know how that goes. It's really good. Airbrushing. Tina is airbrushing the column in Moria. Golly, this is so cool. You're not helping. You guys aren't helping. I can't buy anything else. I want an airbrush so bad. I can't buy anything else.
Tina's Moria today. She sent me a little video.
Oh no.
So good, man.
Look at this. This is amazing. This is so good, Tina. I love all of it. Beast indeed. Oh my gosh, look at this.
I love the way that pillar is really integrated into the wall.
So it's just carved right out of the rock.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love
Brilliant.
it. I love all the lighting that she's getting too from the magma underneath here as it's coming through. Like all the lighting, like that's looking pro. That's looking ace.
Poor old Gandalf's gonna get burnt to death in that.
Yeah, he is. Oh, Gandalf, no, you burnt. Fly, you fools! Fly, you fools! Oh my gosh! Here's another shot. Yeah, that airbrushing is looking pretty sweet, Tina. This is fantastic. I love the archways and the like captured that same design from the movie really well. That same design of the columns and the arches and the stonework looks really good. Oh my gosh! Here's the bigger one. Here's the bigger shot. Jameis, look at this thing. It's so big. It's so amazing. Oh my gosh. Oh my goodness gracious. Tina, this thing is amazing. How long have you spent working on this now? How long have you been progressively working on this?
Must be a month now.
Yeah, a month, I think. Mm-hmm.
What a project.
Good. Looking good. I liked you can't.
A dream project, really, isn't it? Because I wouldn't have space to put that anywhere, but it's a project I would love to do, but I would have to give it away.
Yep. That ain't living anywhere near. I think, that's the great thing about epic pieces is that they're epic, but then they got to live somewhere, right?
Yeah.
And they got to live somewhere afterwards. Okay. Coming back here. Down. Oh my gosh. Look at the light she's added. It's literal light that she has added to it. Oh my gosh, Tina. This is amazing. I love that.
And is it true we have a date? Don't we have a date set?
Soon.
Yes, I think we do.
To be like very, very soon. We will get Tina Martins on the stream, and we are all very excited.
Get her.
One of our favorite people.
Oh, that shot is amazing with the lava.
It's so cool, right? What a great shot. But yeah, that'll be a great time. Like, man, if you've got your Tina always has these amazing tools and techniques and just different ways that she works with all the materials. It's going to be really fun to pick her brain and see what we can come up with on that stream. That'll be fun. Won't be the only time we ever get her on here. But
I've got a funny feeling that the day that we have Tina on will be our busiest stream
I think
ever.
it's gonna be crazy. It's gonna be off the hook. Everyone's gonna show up for Tina. I agree. I agree. It's gonna be a fun day. It's going to be a fun day. So stay tuned. When we'll be letting you know when we get Tina on here. It'll be so much fun. Oh my goodness, the infinity lighting that she's added here. There is so much there's so many elements to this diorama, Tina, that are just absolutely amazing. Look at that. So cool. Infinity lighting. Do you have infinity lighting in any of your builds? I don't.
No,
Not yet.
all of my lighting is finite.
Yeah.
All of it ends.
I still want to do that though, and I actually have some of the material that Tina is using for that. And the thing is, I don't want to waste it on the wrong build.
Yeah.
The way she's used it, those pillars, is perfect though. I love it.
Yep. Tina, get on the stream, Derek says. Yes. If you ask, if we've got a date, that is another question here. Oh. We're not scaring you off. It's going to be fantastic. It'll be fun. Once you come on here...
Everyone watching this stream right now are your friends, and they want to just see you chat about it. It's going to be fine. I mean, we're just talking nonsense here, really.
That's true. We're like there's literally no like it's us coming on and just hanging out and crafting. A wine date. I like that. A wine date with Tina. Wine date would be
I definitely
good.
get a bottle of wine for that day for sure.
Yeah. I wonder, is it too early? Is 10 a.m. too early to have wine, Danny?
Not in California.
Not in California.
That's a big wine state, isn't it?
It sure is. It sure is. Maybe I'll drink some. Maybe I'll have. Maybe Danny. We could have mimosas.
I will have a Fomosa.
A Fomosa. I might have a mimosa that day. I might have a mimosa on that stream. Then the cutting and switching around will be very entertaining for you all. Who knows what'll happen if me drinking on the stream. Uh-oh. Speaking of look at this insane build from Zane Morgan. This thing is coming along.
It's a monster.
This is a monster project. So cool, Zane. I was chatting with him a little bit the other day, and he was talking about kind of like how he, getting back to work on it, kind of put it down for a few days, letting it get, just breathe a little bit, like any project of this size and scope. But now, kind of getting back into it, I think Zane's going to head in and tackle the interior, right?
That bridge and like the archway, and I love the way the bridge kind of curves that way.
Yeah.
That reminds me a lot of Skyrim as well.
Yeah. Yep.
For some reason.
Yep. It reminds me of Skyrim. It reminds me, I think this would be a killer, like, I think when I look at this build, I think the video game Assassin's Creed. That's what I'm thinking of. I think Assassin's Creed, Altair climbing up to the top.
Dive
down in there.
Frankly, when I look at it, I think of like Industrial Light and Magic, like movie model making. I mean, like literally lit properly. It's like you could just film that. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
Yep. The set miniatures.
Yeah, set miniatures.
Yep.
Yeah.
Everyone's blown away. Everyone's like, "Oh my God, Zane!" Yeah, "Oh my God" is right. This is like we have. I think This is why.
A cup of tea right now.
I know. This is why I get so excited about the epic large pieces of terrain in my builds and wanting to add them, is because of you guys. You guys are all of you out there have these amazing epic builds, and I'm like, I want bigger and better. Really cool, Zane. This is coming along. This is coming along great.
So,
go ahead.
I think Zane's in chat now. Dungeon Matron was asking how Zane did the roof tiles, and I believe that he did them one by one.
Yeah, I believe so. I believe he was doing individual shingles on that. So. One by one, y'all.
7 hours, right? Wasn't it 7 hours?
Something like it was a full day. It was a full day of shingling, that's for sure. If you're doing individual shingles on any large build, prepare for all of the things. Like you are definitely going to be shingling for forever. Oh my goodness. Let's see. Those are some pretty epic builds that are going on out there. If you have a few more minutes, if you have any pictures of your dungeon tiles, if you've ever made dungeon tiles, throw them up there in the share your work section for the Discord. We'll check them out. We'll check them out before the end of the day.
Mini Mason's just asking me there, have I ever been to Cloud District in Skyrim? Hell yes. And also, I mean, I've completed that game probably 8 times, like the main quests, and then stuck on the side quests for months as well. Like I'm obsessed with Skyrim. I love it.
Skyrim's great. That talk about if you want to invest like 200 hours into gameplay, you can easily do that.
I don't have that time anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Divinity 2, is it Divinity 2? So it's kind of like a scrolling RPG. That's a really good one. I started playing that at the beginning of the pandemic, and then I stopped playing. I want to get back into that. Have you ever played that? Have you guys ever played that one?
No, but it's going on the list.
It's going on the list. It's a really good one. That's fun.
You got a good list today, Daniel.
Yeah, our list is
Yeah, you guys are loading me up.
Yep. Oh my goodness. Well,
so,
go ahead, brother.
I have been multitasking again.
What?
So, I think Michael might have mentioned printing a piece of paper and then adding stuff like magnet stuff onto it as well. Again,
Awesome.
for $1 or like pay what you want on Tabletop, 2-minute Tabletop. He's got this pack that I couldn't not download. It's 20 buildings, and it's the interior and then a red roof and a gray roof for each of them, and it's specifically for building your entire city, right? And so I just picked one of the buildings at random. I kept cutting out little accessories, and I was like, oh, I guess the fireplace could go here. And then maybe he sits and has like the little settee and like the little end table for his books there. And I couldn't resist cutting out the grand piano because he had a grand piano in the thing, and it's like.
Did you just printed that off there now?
Yeah, I printed it off and cut it out and slapped it down, and and all of these assets are very reusable. I mean, like, not that it would necessarily happen, but if like, I also like the fact that unlike digital maps that you use on like Roll20, this is still dynamic in that like this piano isn't tied down to anything. So not that I've established where the door is, because I haven't printed out and cut out doors, but you could easily roll the piano and barricade the door. You know what I mean? Like you could I'm gonna take the bookcases and I'm gonna shove it in front of the windows so they can't fire in. You know what I mean? Like you can just move the stuff around the room. You're like that would be cool. Like I love it. So I'm having a lot of fun with this.
I think it's again, when you were telling us about the idea and the concept, Danny, I really liked it, and I thought what another cool way, and we seem, all of us seem to be on the magnet kick as of late, thanks to our talented colleagues. And
you and Michael got it in my brain, and
yeah, I told both Tina and Michael, I was like, this is going to revolutionize, I feel, for me, how I create my tiles, right? And how I create my future boards, because the versatility of it is so fun. And I really like creating all the little tiny knickknacks of tables and chests. So that's just something that I enjoy crafting anyway. And I think the ability to interchange that and move it around, super clutch. So this is a really cool design. Danny.
Sonder did ask a question that I don't have a great answer to, though. He says, how would you create a sense of depth? Like if you would like to use clip-ons. So again, my intention behind sort of playing with this is that I could take this sheet of metal and I could throw all of these magnets into like a little plastic baggie, or I've actually got another. I've got another project. Imagine that, where I've got a bunch of those plastic divider sleeves for like a 3-ring binder that I want to fill with a bunch of flat minis or paper minis, and I could devote several of them to just furniture and accessories for the magnet sheet as well. And the intention being that I could have a binder, a 3-ring binder that is full of just flipping through stuff and pull out the things that I need and rapidly deploy that stuff.
He had another question for you earlier on, Daniel. I don't know if you saw it.
Oh, I probably missed it, but I think that if I were to utilize this to create depth, I don't see any reason why you couldn't take the strips of this magnetic sheet and make a pseudo clip-on where you just take the 3/16 thick foam core or something, and then just run a 3/16 strip down the edge, and you could place them in place.
Right.
The magnet isn't particularly strong, which is why I think that it definitely has its limitations. But I think that you could create the sense of depth. But at that point, you are sort of generating a different type of system, right? I mean, I think that it can all work together. But again, sort of my intention is that this functions very much in the manner of dungeon tiles, except kind of inverted, right? And I can pack it up. Like, otherwise, if I'm taking dungeon tiles and I want to take clip-ons or whatever, and I want to take it to my friend's house, or I want to introduce somebody to the game, and I'm just carting tons of stuff to somebody's house, where I think I can get some level of that immersiveness that we get out of the terrain without massive amounts of bulk. I think I'm fighting bulk is the
is the key component. I have not a challenge. It's not a challenge, but
accepted.
It's not a challenge for everyone. It's more of it's just an experiment for this week. Like, those of you that are out there that are watching the channel, I would love for you guys this week to come up based on the conversation that we've been having today, that we've been having with Daniel about this kind of modular throwing in like the D&D in an Altoid box, essentially. What would be kind of your reworked dungeon tile setup? What would be your idea? Think of a craft this week that you can do. Give yourself 90 minutes. What can you come up with in 90 minutes for a way that you've never worked with the dungeon tiles before? I think that'll be a fun experiment. And then whatever you come up with, share it in the Discord on the Share Your Works. The link to the Discord for the Crazy Crafter is in the description of this video. We can also throw it up there in the chat here for you as well. But we'd love to see what you come up with. I saw Amy put up there, using old board games for dungeon tile. Like, what a great idea! Like, that would be a great way to just come up with something that's quick and easy. It collapses and folds most of the time, right? You could take with you out that's portable. It's such a cool way to come up with. Or maybe you take Danny's idea and you run with it and you do that. Or maybe you take, you take something in a completely different direction. Whatever it is, whatever the dungeon tile format and whatever the setup is, share it with the Discord this week. Interested to see what you guys can
Night Terrain, can you share a link to the Stag's Tabletop AR? Yeah. I think this is new to me. I don't think I've heard of this, and I love learning new stuff.
Yeah,
so.
your list is long this week, brother.
Man, I'm running out of graphite in this pencil. I'm taking too many notes.
Do you want that question from Sonder earlier on, Daniel?
Oh, if you found it, yeah, if you know what it was.
I find it there was how would you use CST's resources on the sheets specifically to create some sense of height intervals? I think it's a different form of the same question, I think.
Oh, I see. Yeah, because he's got really great printable walls and stuff. He's got beautiful printable walls. And so I suppose that if you're gonna go with that dimensionality, you could actually just you could. Well, he's actually got full systems, right? Like he's got this room with these walls. So very much in the way that I'm sort of taking the 2-minute tabletop stuff, I think that almost all of that stuff is convertible over to this system where you could just print the floor, stick it down, or like, place it down and then utilize his walls pre-magnetized, right? You could make a whole series of his walls and then just glue stick them onto foam core. I don't even think you need to take the paper off or anything. Just glue stick them down to foam core. And the adhesive on this magnet strip seems to be pretty solid. I think that you could just, if you actually did some precision cutting, you could probably stick it onto the edge of the foam core first and then stick your paper down and hide any of that ugly magnetic strip. In John's work this week, he did a really good job of adding additional molding at the bottom to hide the crimes, and so you could possibly do that as well. And I think that so I bet there's without too much tweaking, I bet that stuff is very convertible. I love CSD stuff.
Colin,
it's great.
Can you make me not the main camera?
What you say? You don't want me to make you the main camera?
Yeah. Just make me smaller and one of you guys bigger.
You're the hero of this story, Michael.
Are you saying?
I'm just saying nothing, and it's me saying nothing. And
it's keeping things active and dynamic. I've had people moving up and around. It's all groovy, and now you have to be careful what you ask for, Michael, because when you ask for that, now what do you think I'm gonna do? I'm gonna make you bigger.
Dope.
Zoom in.
Zoom in for the dude. Oh my goodness, too funny. Oh my goodness gracious, we are too funny here. Well, this has been a really cool session. Getting a chance to talk a little bit about, I really enjoy this this format today where we had an idea. When I say we, Danny had the main idea here, and I liked the fact that we got a chance to kind of hash it out with all of you guys out there. We got to engage you guys, get your feedback on it. That's kind of the whole purpose and the point of the community, and I love the fact that we were able to bounce this off of each other. That was, for me, that's like one of the biggest things that I really enjoy. And then also, Danny, your idea of this battle mat and dungeon tile system is amazing. It travels really well. It's playable. It's fun, and it's very simplistic, and it's not expensive either. Anyone can create this and either gather the materials from local sources or online sources very, very quickly. It's a very ingenious build, my friend. I love it.
I think one trip to the hardware store and the craft shop to get the magnet sheets would get you covered if you have access to a printer. One last thing that I just had an epiphany on when you let me make this donut, this weird little circle shape. There are just a very few shapes in 5e in particular that create effects that last for a really long time.
Yes.
You could actively make a bunch of like sticky spell templates that would be very cool. You could just drop your Black Ring of Darkness onto the table out of the system as well, or your 20 by 20 cube or whatever. I think that it would make a bunch of really good spell templates.
I've thought about that too. I thought about that as well. Like the area, the area of effects and like all of that. It's got its place on the tabletop for sure. And I think, again, for me, I really enjoy you know, the simple dungeon simple dungeon tile. They add so much to the tabletop, and they're quite amazing. OBS Discord audio issue solved. Uh-oh. It's solved. Checking my messenger. I'm checking it, Sonder. Let's see what Sonder says. Live articles to capture Discord with audio. Well, I'm going to read that article, and we'll definitely... That's something that I you know, that's me going, I really want to try to solve this issue 20 minutes before I go live. What a goober I am, right? Let me add new components to the stream without testing it out and trying to do it on the fly. A bunch of you jumped in earlier to try to help me out before we went live. That is how we roll. That is how we roll sometimes. We got to get a little crazy.
Looks like
Amy Rue. Yeah, what does she say? What does she say? I'm going to make you big here if you're talking, Michael. Here we go. You're big again. Here we go.
You can read it.
No, you read it. You're already big. You're big. What did she say?
So it looks like you've got a crafting project. You got to set up some a starter kit for Amy to do some crafting. So there you go. From your son's favorite aunt.
That's true. That's true. Okay, so my birthday is coming up. Can you build me a starter box for getting into the craft? I can, and I will. I will also send you. I'm gonna send you down the rabbit hole crazily. I'll print you up some stuff too. Like I've got a bunch of stuff I can print. I need to start going. I've got about a month. I've got almost a month here before the 24th. Cool fact: both Amy and my mom share the same birthday.
Cute.
Yeah.
Super
yeah.
cute.
We got to get Amy on the stream here at some point, so that'll be cool. I'll send you the box, Amy, but then you have to come on the stream and craft with us.
Mm-hmm.
A beginning craft, because that'll be cool. Because I know inherently we'll send stuff. Again, that's what's because Amy's got a brilliant mind. Like I'm excited to see what Amy comes up with, right? Things that we typically how we craft, but someone who hasn't done a ton of crafting before. I'm excited to see, you know, what she'll come up with. But that'll be fun.
But I mean, Amy makes stuff though. Like I think that her skills will transfer over quite easily.
She's just a talented person. She can't not touch it and let it you know, work on it and bring that amazing root flare, glitter and all, more often than not to it. Not all of it is glitter, but what isn't better than life than adding a little glitter? I think I've made your
vacuuming it out of your theater's carpet for 3 years.
Oh my goodness, that is the worst. That is the worst.
Oh no! Don't make me big on screen and give me an audience. Definitely making you big on screen, Amy.
Definitely making you big on screen, Amy. And yeah, we'll happily give you an audience. I think it'll be.
I can see it. You can just take me off screen entirely. Put 2 Amy's up.
Like, that'll be 2 Amy's. No. Now we're going overboard. Now we'll go overboard with all of these. Convert if you can. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness gracious. Well, this is great, y'all. We'll come back to it. We'll come back to more dungeon tiles, and we'll talk more about dungeon tiles. And if you've got an idea out there for dungeon tiles that you'd like to see, one of the things that I want to do in a future stream is talk about layered. I want to talk about layering terrain vertically on the tabletop.
Love it.
I want to play around with layering our different. Vertical layering crafts. So instead, you know, most of it's just, you know, out across on the horizontal plane. But I'm really digging all the stuff that I'm seeing out there that's being built up vertically from, like, I see a lot of mines all the time, right? See a lot of mines that are out there a lot of time, but you know, I'm excited to explore that. Maybe we go into the vertical territory next time we do it. All right.
Requested a monster bash here, by the way.
A monster bash.
Yeah, Frankie did. Was Jazza a part of that? Drawing with Jazza as well, where they took a bunch of like, they took a bunch of like toys off the shelf and sort of mutilated them and turned them into stuff.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
I'll kit bash.
I would love to do that too. I think that'd be great. I think, you know, Carl, if you're still out there in the audience, like Carl, that would be it's been on my mind, like, you know, when are we gonna have get Carl back on the stream? And I think a kit bash, you know, sculpting, you know, element, because I'm really enjoying all the sculpting components within the craft now. I think it'd be cool to have Carl back on, and we did a monster last time with Carl too. He created the coolest stone golem I've ever seen.
That
out of
stick
those
guy was so cool.
Those sprues that he created and how we got that stone texture, holy shnikes! With the eyes, so cool. Damn, Carl. Monster Bash is awesome. All right, maybe we Monster Bash. We did the Monster Bash. The Monster Bash.
There's another good suggestion. Encounter Terrain. We should definitely get him on.
Everyone like so you're talking about Danny's list. My list grows exponentially like daily, guys. It's so wild. There's so many wonderful people out there within the hobby and within the community that we want to reach out to. Encounter Terrain is definitely one of them. I want to we'll get on the stream. If you have suggestions or you want to suggest folks, you can always reach out to me and get in touch with me at crazycrafterchannel1983@gmail.com, which is a link to my email there. You can reach out to me on the Discord. I'm on Facebook there too. That's totally fine. But Discord's a really good spot. Like that, the Discord community, that's another thing too I really want to shout out. The Discord community is off the chain, guys. Like, you guys... it's just been this awesome place, a source of inspiration, support with everyone. Sonder, thank you so much for building that and making that happen. I still have to print. I have to print out a couple of things. So, subtle hint. But your care package is coming by the end of this week. I gotta make your thing, and I'll send it out your way as a. Like you said, little small thank you. But Sonder, the Discord is amazing. And next week, we will have the ability to take calls on Discord, because I'm going to figure that. I'm going to spend a little bit more than the last 20 minutes before we go live figuring that out.
He'll spend the 30 minutes before we go live.
That's right. That's right.
Looking for Amanda Hug and Kiss.
Looking for Amanda Hug and Kiss? That's right. Yeah, the Discord will be cool. So next, yeah, we'll get. Hopefully, I hope someone prank calls us. We'll I'm sure they will. I'm inviting terror onto the stream right now, but it'll be fun. That'll be great. We can take some calls. Like I would like phone in live stream. Like if you've got issues or stuff, or you want to ask the question live on the stream with Sebastian next week, we should do it. And I want to make a special shout out. Like we're trying to up the game in ante, because next week, guys, will be the 6-month anniversary of this stream. 26 consecutive weeks.
That's ridiculous, man. I can't believe that.
26 consecutive weeks of large face Michael, of Colin figuring out how the hell to stream OBS, of crashing the stream because he's running it on a computer that has no business running a stream, of growing the stream, of creating this amazing community that you are all a part of. It's a mighty celebration and a mighty anniversary mark that I don't want to overlook. So we'll have some fun next week. Sebastian is coming on from Atmoseeker. I'll be I've already chatted with him, and I'll give you guys I sent Michael and Danny, because we don't have enough to think about. I was like, oh, by the way, here's the build for next week, and they were probably like rolling their eyes at me. They're like, really, you crazy bastards? But this was based off of Sebastian's suggestion. He wants to do a sci-fi diorama, so we're gonna do little sci-fi diorama of, you know, little hallway. But you know, it's Sebastian, so of course he's gonna throw some awesome atmosphere into it. There'll be some cool lighting I'm sure he's gonna do. There's a lot of really cool stuff that we'll put together. So we'll see what we come up with next week in this little sci-fi diorama. It could be any sci-fi theme. Like there's no specific franchise that we're thinking of, but it'll be fun just to create. I've already got it. I'm not gonna share it yet. But I know where I'm going. And I'm going to go to Home Depot, and I'm going to build the base of my diorama is going to be less than $1. I already found it the other day.
So
found something dope.
send me those specs on what he's doing, by the way, because I
will.
still haven't got a clue.
I will. That's why I'll be sure to send his little. He's already sketched it out, and he's got a big
Ooh,
setup
hang on a minute.
out. You may have it. I may have sent it to you.
I think you sent something, but this community is very active. We get a lot of Facebook messages on the regular.
I know,
which is a great thing.
It's fantastic. Like, wait till you.
I can hardly keep up with the what everyone's like. I want to get involved with the Facebook and the Discord and stuff, but I've got like just if I'm not building, it's like changing nappies or something, and then I like get to the Discord or the Facebook, and it's just like, where do I begin? There's like 1,000 messages here.
There's so much to do.
Great.
You know, in addition to Sebastian next week, I'm going to wrap up the Kill Bill diorama. Here is the bride, for those of you that haven't seen the bride. I put a wash on her the other day and added some more texture, so let's see. Yeah, she's looking good.
That is, I think you're doing really clever dioramas, Colin, man.
Thanks, man.
So I'm looking forward to seeing what the next one is.
Yeah, it's not going to have 44 minis on it, I'll tell you that.
Well,
like I'm enjoying the minis, and I'm enjoying the Fights on Foam diorama. I think they're a ton of fun, and we'll have to see. I'll chat with Amy. Amy will have to have on Amy and I talking about fight direction and kind of the next one. So what do you want to work on? Amy, I know Kill Bill was like your thing. And you suggested that, and I could have definitely had you on for that, but I don't know. What do you want to build next, Amy? What do you want to build on the Fights on Foam? You'll have to let us know.
I've really enjoyed this episode. It's been super fun.
Yeah, this was a good one. This was good. It's very chill, very informative. Again, it's just the way it happens every stream for me personally. Just new source of inspiration, new like, oh, I want to think about this, and now I'm gonna go down that road now. So
I built prison cells.
Let's see. Hold on. Let me see. Hold on. I saw you there, Danny. I'm gonna transition back. What you got?
You can make little prison cells. Look at that.
Nice.
Prison cells. Look at that.
I'm just playing.
I love it.
Here's the only time I build all this terrain. I've only played on the tabletop once, would you believe it or not? And in that game, I had the game was a homebrew, and it was breaking out halflings who had been captured by a necromancer from prison cells. So there you go.
Yeah, I realized that I've sort of like made myself Legos. You know what I mean? That's really what it's just like boop 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 boop.
I mean, they've not. It's definitely, very much. That's all it is, right? It's a form of Legos and building and collecting it together. I love it. I love it, and I love this. This magnetic setup and the portability that yours comes along with here, Danny. It's really cool. Amy has suggested the Fifth Element. That sounds like a lot of minis, Amy Root. Depending on the scene again.
Yeah. And Mini Mason, TMNT is a stupid idea. I think you mean a brilliant idea. I literally quoted to my son, where's Master Splinter? Oh, the rat. He has a name. Had a name. You lie! I did the whole scene for my son the other day. Like literally, like Shredder with a pointed staff at like Leo's throat. Like, yeah, that's the scene, man. Like the nunchucks wrapped around the ladder.
Yep.
Yeah.
Dude,
that's a great idea.
I think it's great. So there's a ton of really good stuff from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles that would be really cool to do. Those turtles themselves, just like on a sewer tile with them like posing would be super dope to put together and do. Again, that's my a lot of Fights on Foam. There's these giant battles, but there's some one-on-ones. I still want to do my Ridley Scott one with the duelists. The first duel between Harvey Keitel and the other dude that he kills. # spoiler alert. At the top of the movie, but they're in like a field next to like an elevated like farmhouse,
Great
and
fight.
there's like some really now that one based on Amy and I were Amy's been sending me pictures of the little swords and stuff that she's been doing this whole time, and I finally like the other day got motivated and I started messing around last week with some tiny swords, and I found a pretty cool way to make some decent small swords, I think. And I would want to try to make for that diorama. I want to try to make the swords for those two, because the small swords aren't very intricate. You just have the the simple bell or shell guard that's there. And
how did you make little rapiers?
It was a little bead with a safety pin, and then I took some floral wire, and then I twisted the floral wire, and I made the Queon, right, or the little guards that go underneath the shell. Think on the broadsword, they would be the cross guard, right, that goes underneath, the thing that prevents the sword coming down and chopping and hitting your hand. So I used that, and then I twisted the floral wire together, and then I used just a pair of pliers and opposed the Queons to make them fancy. But it literally is just a tiny bead that looks like a guard on a sword, and then I ran the safety pin through, used some green stuff on the handle, and then shaped a pommel down there at the end, and I left the the safety pin point sharp. And I think Zane was making fun of me. He's like, "Oh, that seems super safe," and I'm like, "Yeah, I don't think."
I like that.
I mean, it's a sword.
True, but
it's a sword.
Like
a mini sword that if you actually Honey, I Shrunk the Kids went down, you could actually
probably use it. So it's pretty cool. And then I just use super glue. Like that sword, that'd be cool. One of these days on the stream, we'll do it. We'll do a tutorial on mini swords one day on the live stream. That'll be fun.
That's
How do we make?
Yeah, I love it.
It'd be cool. Like we make like a blacksmith shop, or just like a rack. Maybe we just make like a little table and we make some swords out. But green stuff works great. Green stuff is a cool thing to do. I had those pop rivets, and then I was shaping. I just pulled the green stuff off, and it created kind of that thin, almost bronze-like casting of this Greco-Roman bronze. It looked like a sword from the Bronze Age, and it had the pop rivet kind of up in the middle of it. I was just happy accident that shaped it into a leaf blade. So kind of cool. I definitely love it. Definitely say Alien. You guys are going off the wall now with all these. I need to create a little channel on the Discord just for suggestions for the fights on foam. That would be
idea
good too. Just to throw them in there.
Well, the chat went wild the first time we brought that up.
Yeah, that's true. It's a sword. You made Amy laugh. You made Amy laugh out loud. 8-bit terrain. How about 8-bit terrain? Oh, yeah. 8-bit terrain. What do you mean,
making it look like a video game?
Make it look like a video game? That would be amazing.
Be kind of cool. What's that kids play?
Like Minecraft?
Minecraft.
Yeah, Minecraft. Which, again, it's essentially, that's virtual Legos. Dude, Legos are the shiznit. All we're trying to do as a species is design different ways so we can keep playing Legos.
I stand by that. I support that idea entirely.
I do too.
I mean, they're speaking of Minecraft, there are guys that have taken the Minecraft system and they have built incredible things inside Minecraft. I don't know if you've seen some of the stuff that they come up with is unbelievable.
I just did a project with my students where they had to explore William Shakespeare a little bit more. We gave them some time in class to propose an idea where they did something. Some people made an English meal for their family. Some people, made playlists of songs for each scene in Romeo and Juliet. And several students pitched building the Globe Theater in Minecraft, to which I was like, yeah, duh. Go build the Globe Theater in Minecraft and be happy during this pandemic. Go get it done. So, yeah, kids love the Minecraft.
Kids love
it. They build amazing things.
You've been in the Globe, haven't you, Colin?
In the
Globe Theatre in London?
I have. I
thought that would be a bit like a mecca for you.
Oh, man. That was... Dude, now you're bringing back that memory. That sense of memory going down. We saw A Comedy of Errors. And my wife was like, where do you want to sit? Like, and I was like, my first time in the Globe, I refuse to do anything else but be a groundling. I want to stand and watch this play and stand there and watch it and hear it and see it. And it was amazing. And also incidentally, they have one of the best cheeseburgers I've ever had in my life that they just have there. And they're like, have a cheeseburger at the Globe. So I was sitting there watching Shakespeare, standing in the groundling section with a bunch of other people, watching this play, eating a cheeseburger and drinking beer after beer. I was like, this is how fucking theater is supposed to be.
As they did back in Shakespeare's day.
As you should. It was a glorious, glorious evening. That was a lot of fun. Yep. I look forward to going back one day and doing the same. That'd be cool.
Here.
Cool. Yep. We've got a replica of outdoor Shakespeare theater down in San Diego, not far from Danny and I. Not really, closer to Danny more than anyone now. But that would be fun. It'd be fun to play on that space one day.
Yeah.
Why are you guys poking me in the feels right now? Yeah.
At Christmas time, Colin, like, because we haven't done the voices thing today.
No.
But at Christmas time, you recited some Shakespeare to me. How about a bit now?
No. You son of a
Come
biscuit.
on. You put me on the spot.
I didn't put you on the spot. I made you bigger.
Shakespeare.
I will do it another day. Another day. I won't do it today, but I'll do it another day. I'll open next week's stream. I'll think of a line to open us with for Sebastian as we come on.
That sounds good.
And maybe even from today. Right now, we must bid you adieu. Parting is such sweet sorrow. So there's your Shakespeare, my friend. You get a little flavor. If you think what Shakespeare quote best encompasses sci-fi diorama, send us a message, drop us a line in the Discord.
Well, Shakespeare had a lot of thoughts on that. so it's really narrowing it down of the myriad Shakespeare sci-fi terrain quotes out there.
Yep.
So yeah, really gonna just narrow that down is really the issue.
It's just the issue. That's the only thing you got to do. Well, thank you so much, everyone, for joining us today. We are so thrilled, so happy to hang out with you every Sunday, craft with you. Be sure if you like the content, I've done a terrible job of this throughout the day, but if you have not done so, be sure to subscribe to the channel, turn on the bell notification. Best way you can support the channel right now. We're close to 400 subs. We will be there soon. Not far off from now for a new milestone. Thank you so much for all of your love and support. If you want to support the channel further ways, you can click on the link to buy me a coffee. All the proceeds from that go directly back into making this channel and fueling the fund for the billions of STLs that I am now purchasing for the stream. But that's it for this week. Michael, as always, thank you so much, brother. Always a joy to hang out with you.
Great, man.
Danny, thank you so much, my friend. Thank you for your insight today. Thanks for taking us down a new path and shedding some negative and positive light on how we view and play with our dungeon tiles.
Thanks for letting me ramble on and go on about the things that I'm playing with. So it was great. It was fun.
And Mini Mason is right. Everyone out in the chat too. Thank you. There's last but not least, like everyone out there in the chat. You guys make the stream awesome, and again, we are thankful for each and every single person out there. Thank you so much for joining us, and till the next time, be sure to craft your passion daily, and we'll see you next week for more Fights on Foam and with Atmos Seeker next week on the Crazy Crafter live stream. Till then, cheers, y'all.
Bye. That was really fun. Good job, Daniel.
I mean, I hope it was decent content, you know?
Oh man, I think people loved that stream today. I really do. I mean, the chat was just ongoing, constant stream of people getting involved. So that was really fun.
Well, I'm glad. It was a. Oh, there's the outro.
Oh, so we've been talking away there.